Second discourse. I know you perfectly well. Here we have a sacred time, which is a process of remembering who you are. To subtract anything is nonsense. It's real. You can become with that process to know that this is not true. It is the only method by which you will succeed. You must finally come to know that the earth is not true. By whatever method, your transformation will not be accomplished in any other way. That's very fundamental. That's the fundamental teaching of all religions and philosophies, but it is nonetheless transformative and will not be accomplished intellectually. As far as your little consciousness, you are not capable of recognizing that you are an illusion. And therein lies the dilemma. Self-identification is incredible. The sin of leaving the garden, the dilemma of having to count the animals and name them, that's absurd. Animals all have one name. Everything is finally one thing, or it is nothing. It would be pretty hard for it to be nothing. You can feel particular energies flowing as you attempt to identify who they are. Your mind goes, "Chiku, chiku, chiku. Who is that? Who am I? Why are we here? Pooh, that's all just junk. We know who you are. You can't fool us. Everybody's got a secret. You really think that separate from yourself, as identified in your ego, that you keep secrets from other people. That's absurd. Everybody has the same secrets. Everybody is finally afraid of the same thing. Otherwise, why would you keep secrets? Secrets are always kept because of fear. If you're afraid, you can't love. Can't love, you can't live. If you don't love, you die. That's why you die, because you can't love. You are afraid. So you keep all these secrets down inside. Dirty, guilty, junky, all sorts of stuff. Stuff you wouldn't tell your best friend. Stuff you don't admit to yourself. It makes you corrupt, makes you feel corrupt because you are corrupt. Because you're not true. When you came into this world, you pretty well knew that, but you were taught that it's not so, that you do have an identity and you nurture it and mature it in duality. And you look outside yourself and defend yourself from non-existent forces. You literally establish the illusion of self. It is not true. Here it is anywhere you want. There's no such thing as separate personalities. That's absurd. You think there's 4 billion entities on this mud ball, Earth? Come on. And they march by, and they die, and they are murdered, and 40,000 of them starved to death last night. No wonder you feel guilty. How do you handle that? We keep coming back to this. You are protecting yourself and the heck with everybody else. Well, I can't do anything about that. No wonder you're in hell. Boy, that's terrible. That's terrible. You are willing to assume responsibility for some things, but not for everything. There's no justice on earth. You attempt to establish it by identifying yourself and then projecting from you what you think the truth is. And you're not right. You're wrong. It's not so. The truth cannot be outside of you. The truth can only be you. Sorry. An idea never leaves its source. As you think you are, you are. Quantumly, everything in the universe is finally totally subjective, because there is only one thing, do you see? And you are it. You may perceive yourself falsely as identified at this speed of consciousness, but I assure you, When you awaken your level of consciousness, you will perceive differently. You are asleep, you are dreaming. This isn't real. Wake up. Wake up, everybody. I'm disrupting your dream. You plug along and you say to yourself, something's got to be wrong with this. I don't understand it, but it doesn't seem right to me. The need to retain self-identity is extremely intense in you because if you let it go, you will die. Or you will transform. First you will die and then you will transform. You have a need to retain selfness that keeps you at this stage of consciousness. You project out from yourself and believe that there are forces that cause you difficulty, that there are evil things outside of you. You made them up. There is nothing outside of you. In the process of coming to know who you are, you will at different levels perceive things like clairvoyance, and other applications will occur and you go, oh my. Miracles will happen to you and you go, oh, look at this. They're all true. You are in an awakening process, and it is the only reason that you are here. You are here for no other purpose. In truth, if you give value in duality, you cannot awaken because you're holding on to yourself. You have established an identity and you hold on to it. All endeavors of transformation in religion teach detachment because unless you detach, you can't wake up. You must subtract yourself. Well, that's easy for you to say, but how do I go about doing that? I have to function here. After all, I have responsibilities. I'm working here. This is me. This is real. I must go out and pursue these things. Otherwise what? Otherwise you will die. You are here on planet because you think there's such a thing as death. You listen to me, you can't die. The only thing that can possibly die is your own self-identification. And that is not real in the first place. There's no such thing as a separate personality. I'm sorry, but there isn't. You may hang on to yourself as long as you choose and go to worms and let your nose rot off. It will, but you hide from that. You say, I don't want to look at that. We'll stick our old ladies in the nursing home and let them rot. Our own parents. We'll do all those things, but we won't acknowledge that we are going to die. Of course you're going to die. The wages of your sin are death. The only possible sin that you can be in from a religious standpoint, the only possible sin that you can have is separation, thinking that you're you. There's no such thing as sin. You are in the process of awakening. The manner in which it finally comes about is genuinely not under your control. You listen, you control nothing on earth, nothing. Reality is there, you are here. The more you come to know that, the more rapidly will be your cellular response in regard to your awakening. Who inherits the earth? Christians? Who inherit the earth? The meek. You're not meek. Who sees the kingdom of heaven? The poor in spirit. You're not poor in spirit. You won't turn the other cheek. These are just common, ordinary things, the Beatitudes. If you did that, you wouldn't be here. Does that sound religious? Well, it is. Religious, coming back to know the truth, recognizing, returning to who you really are. You don't do those things. It's absurd. You resist evil every minute. Evil being anything outside of you that you have identified as something that you participate with and protect yourself from. The moment that you stop resisting evil, you won't be on earth. How much simpler can you say it? The process of giving up is a process. And each time you do it, in truth, the energies will respond cellularly, physically. We teach a physical awakening here because the awakening is physical. That's a new thought, isn't it? It is a new thought. It's as old as man. The resurrection was physical. It wasn't something that somebody dreamed up. He was dead, and he came back and rose, of course. The awakening doesn't occur out there. It occurs here, in you. You are you, in your body. Or it occurs nowhere, and there's nothing. And this is chaos, and has no purpose. And you are here for no reason at all. There are a lot of people who, before the awakening process, come to the conclusion that they are here for no purpose at all. And they are correct, because they have looked outside themselves for all of the reasons to justify themselves, and they always fail because everything here turns to dust and is not real, period. Anything that is not forever is not real. There's a whole universe, thousands and billions of stars out there waiting for you. You limit yourself by perception. The only thing that could ever be evil, ever, is limitation. You are conceiving yourself too smallly. Does it avail me to tell you that you are the Son of God? I'll try it with you. You are God. Good. You have to be. Now you can say that intellectually to me. I understand that. When you come to know that that is true, you will have graduated. The process of coming to know that is true is a process of changing your energy responses. It is a moment-by-moment thing, because finally there is no space-time. What I mean by that is that it's one thing to teach. The Father and I are one. And you obviously don't know that. I say to you that it is true that you can do anything, that you have all the power in the universe, that you may do anything that you choose, that you control the universe, that you may disappear from here and never return. Finally, you don't believe that in yourself. You can't at this point. It seems as though you can. I know that's easy for you to say, but I don't believe it. You say you do, but you don't. Because when you finally come to know the truth through your own forgiveness, you will engender energies that extend from you to recognize that you and I are the same. As long as you hold me in duality, you are in failure. Of course, you participate in the illusion. If I look at you and say, I love you, I know that you are me, I will extend from me the truth of me. And you can see it sometimes. Now you can handle that any way you want. You can say, who is this funny guy standing up here? It makes absolutely no difference to me. That's a little difficult. I've got a biggie for you. Finally, since all consciousness is one, all atonement is individual and personal and has absolutely nothing to do with what you have established outside yourself. How can the world be saved? How can this chaos that appears to be here, the death, starvation, murder in which you participate, how can it be saved? Can it be saved by carrying a placard that says, let's not drop bombs on people? Nope, not finally. Do it if you want. Can it be saved by finding answers to all the diseases that are in the body by living together in harmony? No, it can't be saved that way. I'm sorry. The fold of the earth is the earth. The fold of the earth is what you have made of it in your perception. Do you want to change it? Change yourself. Not any other way. Are you loving, sharing, giving, caring? Do you do the things that it says to do? No, you don't. Instead, you said, well, if he does it, I'll do it. That won't work. All relationships fails. It won't work unless you give 100%. If you give 100%, you don't have relationships. All you have is love. You don't have a relationship. You have a truth. This funny-looking guy and I are the same. I know perfectly well he's divine. He doesn't know it. It doesn't make any difference if he knows it, as long as I know that he is. How did I come to know that he is? I was forgiven. You can't forgive yourself. Finally, you've got to say, I can't do this anymore. Help me. Oh, big deal. That's prayer. Sounds like prayer to me. Well, it is. What do you think it is? Is it religious? I don't know. Do you get it in church? I don't know. You get a cellular response in your energy through karma, through cellular memories that are in you. Everything that has occurred on this planet in space-time is contained genetically in your system. I positively guarantee you it is. And I don't mean reincarnation. I mean everything. You have 64 elements of the genetic code in you, which is the I Ching. Even the helix is the same. Even the symbol of genetic code is the same as the I Ching. I Ching is potentiality. I Ching is Holy Spirit. I Ching is the distance between essence, which is God in manifestation, which is you in corruption, darkness. Here it is, potentiality. That's everything that could possibly happen. No space-time, fabric of consciousness. It is all in you. It's hidden in your inner parts. The new covenant, new deal. Not on a tablet that says, thou shalt not commit. That's Abram's covenant. Perfect yourself. You'll be perfect with everything. That sounds like Christianity. Well, it is. What else would it be? Well, that sounds like Buddhism. It is. It sounds like everything I've ever heard. It is, dummy. Because you're in duality, you think in a fractured manner. You identify things as separate from you. You think that this is a cup, and that's okay if you're going to utilize it at this level. The next thing you do is judge it not to be perfect in some fashion because there's another cup that's a different color. Well, this cup is prettier than this cup. That's absurd. By what definition is it prettier? Well, I think it's prettier. What do you mean you think it's prettier? What are you judging? Who are you? How could you possibly judge these cups when you don't know who you are? And I assure you, you don't know who you are, because if you knew who you were, you wouldn't have to judge the cups, because there would be nothing to judge them against, do you see? Everything is perfect unto itself. This cup is absolutely perfect. I can see it. I see the cells moving in this cup. It's been formed cylindrically. It has a handle on it. It recognizes that it is perfect. It knows what it is. It doesn't know that it knows it. You know that. And that's what makes you different in consciousness. You are aware that you are aware. Is this cup perfect? Of course. This cup is the Holy Grail. This cup is what you have been searching for all your life. Right here, I assure you. I positively guarantee you it is. This cup is anything that you want it to be. Does that seem simple? Instead of that, you turn back in, and in your duality you attempt to judge things. She's better than he is. This is better than that. That's better than that. They ought to lock him up and do that to him. It's absurd. The whole world goes and stands before a judge, and he says, well, I think it's this way. And the other guy goes, I have an opinion, it's this way. Everybody judges everything, including God. They have an opinion about God. That's ridiculous. God is not an opinion. He's an experience. That's why God doesn't have a name. How could God have a name? If you could name him, who are you? Are you separate from him? No. You are all consciousness. Well, that's easy for you to say, but in the meantime, I'll have to deal with life. I have to go out and do this. Why? Well, I have to provide for my what? Well, I've got a condominium I can move into when I retire until I what? Until you what? Die. The Earth is a death planet. The conception of duality is death by definition. If you believe that you are you will die. So you share and commiserate thanatos, death, with other entities. The joke is that there is no death. You inflict this pain. It is incredible, and you're doing it all to yourself. Do you see? There's nobody outside of you harming you. You are absolutely invulnerable. I positively guarantee you, you are invulnerable. Nothing can harm you. It is your resistance to it that causes the pain in this illusion. Oh, that sounds like real fundamental Christianity. Well, it is. Resist not evil. In your weakness is your strength. Total innocence is your power. First thought is all-powerful as extended from you. Deviousness will never avail because it's dual. That's pretty simple. That's too simple. I can't believe that. There's got to be more to it than this. Do you know what it comes down to finally that's too difficult for you, planet Earth? It's not whether the planet is good or bad, it is simply that it's not real. I teach in truth that you may, through a transformative process, share with me that truth, or you would not be here. Nothing is by accident, and nothing can occur that has not already occurred, of course. Remember, I speak in the past tense to you. Are there hierarchies of consciousness, either lateral or superseding us at various speeds? Sure. A Course in Miracles is scribed at another level of consciousness. An itinerant salesman, lay minister at Kakesi scribed. As soon as he came out of his sleep or his trance, he didn't know what he was talking about. I teach that you may integrate rather than scribe. There are no scribers here. The next level after scribing is integration or Christ development, avatarism. A scribe is as an entity, and we do scribe automatically. As a matter of fact, what you think of as intuition or first thought is a scribing process in that you participate at a different level of consciousness. Its first thought succeeds. It's coming to know that there's no failure. You can't possibly fail. Ed Carcasey utilized what you might term some astralism, that is mediation in duality to suffice or to cause healing, which perpetuate the illusion and distruth. It doesn't make any difference, but it's okay. There's no such thing as a separate personalities anyway. And that's the difficulty. You hold yourself in the illusion by believing in an Akashic record. It isn't true. It's only true in provincialism. Of course, there's a record of everything that ever occurred on Earth, but Earth, cosmic time, has only been here 5 days. I mean the whole planet. Man has only been here 5 minutes. And your lives are the lives that you would identify are this, Snap, 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 snap. This is the life you just led. Snap, that one. The process is transformative, and you come to know it through a giving up process. It appears that there is a path that you walk on to find this, that you can seek it. In truth, there isn't. In truth, you may only do it now. If you will come to know that, you will start to not identify in space-time. The retention of entity is caused by the belief that you actually got up this morning and that when you leave here, you will go somewhere. Well, that's not true. There's no truth in that. You have built a self-identity on recognition of past memories. The brain is simply a little imprint, like a facsimile. And you remember things and then you take them and project them over there. There's no truth in that. It's not so. It is not true. You come to know that as you raise energies in you and come to the truth. It is a very gentle process. Well, it can be. It's taught in some traditions, like in yoga, that it's Kundalini, that there's a yoga process. And that's true. There's finally no difference in a mystical experience, if you want to class it as mystical. There's no difference between Sister Teresa and any other method you would use to raise your level of consciousness. I assure you that the energies in your body are real. There's a difficulty in society to allow spirituality to be physical. It's not accepted. We would prefer to keep our God intellectual. So you see a subtraction in Christianity, for example, of the Shakers and the Closalliers. We have people who say, let's keep it intellectual, folks, so we can accomplish our purpose here on earth, which is nothing. So they retain their duality. Everything you do to bring about a change in you, whatever it is, has value. You can't fail in anything that you do. There is no failure. Every time you judge someone else outside yourself as being less than you or more than you or equal to you, who are you judging? All judgment is self-judgment, period. Try it. You might like it. Every time you say anything about anything on earth, recognize that you are saying it about yourself and come to know that. That's kind of tough. I know in truth that in your weakness is your strength, simply because as long as you participate in a dualistic society, you are dualistic. When you refuse to participate in it, by whatever method, you come to know the truth through a cellular awakening in your body, period. It can come about gradually or suddenly, but it must come about in you so that you can know the truth. There is no failure. You can't fail. How could you fail in a dream? Try to recognize that you made this up and I'm disrupting you. I'm saying, wake up, wake up. You're saying, no, I don't want to hear this. I have constructed this. I'm attacked. I must defend myself. No, you don't. Wake up now. This is a nightmare. You can wake up. You must wake up. Never mind anything outside of you. That doesn't matter. You wake up. Some of you had the glorious experience of that awakening feeling. Some of you have been frightened by it. No, I'd better not do that. Something's wrong with me. I feel all these things coming into me. Somebody says, oh, you don't want to fool around with that. Why not fool around with it? What else is there but death for you? What alternative do you have on earth but death or heaven? What real alternative do you have but hell or heaven, really? If you want to look at it that way, you have none. You do that by coming to know the truth, because the truth will make you whole. But remember, the process is in you, it's not in me. It has nothing to do with me. I stand in front of you because I know that you're me. Never mind how I know that. I say to you, you may come to know that. I say to you, you must come to know that. You may resist that, but I don't care. See, I have the advantage. I know you're not real. Did you hear what I say? It makes absolutely no difference to me what you do. I'm going to try it this way for you. I assure you that I'm going to say is true. What I'm going to say is true. Everything that I have said to you in the last 45 minutes is either absolutely, totally true, or there's no truth in it whatsoever. Try that. That can bring you a long way. Just step away from your own judgment, which isn't worth a damn. You couldn't judge anything in a million years. Do you really think that you can step back and say, well, he might be right in this regard? It sounds very familiar what he's saying. In the past 45 minutes, I've given you the taste of every possible philosophy and religion there ever could be. And they all mean nothing. You got Spinoza, you got Kant, you got Neoplatonism, you got Buddhism, you got Christianity, call it anything. You've got a little null, one logic, Aristotelian, singularity, Pythagoras. What else do you want? Grecian, Hermes Trismegistus. Where are you, dear friend, in your frailty, in your delusionment? You are standing there trying to judge things outside yourself. The philosophia perennis is a single truth. When the energies really start to flow in you, and you come to know that, you will do analogies that are spectacular. You'll begin to look at things and say, hey, everything is the same. There must be something in what's being said here. I will do it. Then you get on the path, and then it starts to get narrower. And it gets narrower and narrower. And you keep pursuing it. You'll get there. You can't fail. Don't judge. The world is insane. You remember that. There is no sanity here. There cannot be. Most of you know that. You say, why do people act this way? They act that way because you act that way. Well, I tried another way. I've tried to go out and share and be good. And I've tried to carry the message. And I would never intentionally harm anybody. And I go to Sunday school and raise my kids. And I do the best I can. And I fail. Yes, you will always fail. Sorry, you have limited yourself. You will fail. You have misidentified yourself. All must fail here. You can't win here. Those dark nights of the soul that will come to you and have come to some of you are a very necessary process to the awakening. In quantum physics, it's called a dissipative force, belying the second law of thermodynamics. It says that the world is winding down. It's not. The world is winding up. Each time you come to cognition, confusion ensues, and you readjust your thinking to another level of consciousness. Got it? No pain, no gain. Same thing. You've got to have that. You've got to say, something's wrong with this before you can do anything. If I said to you, the body's not real, you say, the heck it's not. It's real to me. Or you will say, if I take this knife and stab you, you fall dead. No, I won't. Isn't that funny? You extrapolate into time. You defend yourself in the future. Boy, that's a terrible way to be. Oh, it's awful here. You make your little heavens here. You carve out your little niches. Never mind the bloating bodies of babies starving to death. Never mind all those other things. I'll do what I can, and you keep dying, and you keep failing, and you keep dying, and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. All consciousness is one. I am you. Then you want to make it into a religious process and say, I'm going to go to heaven or hell. No, you're not. I was Cleopatra in a past life. No, you weren't. You were everything in a past life. You retain self-identity through some sort of belief in reincarnation. You will do anything to hang on to yourself. You're not real. Let go. So be gentle and loving and caring. Be berated. Some people are going to say, hey, what happened to you? How come you're different? Don't you want to participate in this chaos anymore? Come on. Get into this fight. Don't you want to pursue death with the rest of us? Look at the fun we're having, dying here. Isn't this fun? We get cancer and disease and awful things happen to us. Our nose rot off. That's okay. We stand up and fight for it. You dummies up in here. Billions of stars and energies flow into reality. You're in the hatchery. You're in the nursery. You're like grubs. You are blind, deaf, and dumb. The extension of your consciousness will show to you that you really don't see with your eyes. Never mind hearing with your ears. Much more awaits you, much more. The idea that you are you should astonish you. When you're alone and you're standing here, say, I am me. Come into your own consciousness. It's a glorious feeling. Feel will come into you. You say, I don't want to think about that. I'll discover who I really am. I'm free. That's why you're here. You're afraid to know the truth. Sorry, but that's the reason. You are afraid of God. You sinned and you are guilty. And I say to you, you are perfect. Let's look at Jesus after his baptism. I'll tell this story. The devil, evil, ego, took him out on a mountain and said, I'm going to give you all of this. You now have the power within you to work magic. You can control the whole world. Isn't that wonderful? And Jesus said, what do I want with the world? I have the whole universe. Evil is limiting only, and you have limited yourself. The process of coming to know who you really are is a transformative process. Do some of the analogies occur in music and poetry and art and philosophy and myth? Of course. When you see a beautiful sunset, what occurs to you? Do you feel union and love? Do you feel additional consciousness come into you and you are very joyous? Of course. We've introduced a new element of consciousness into this room. Feel that. There's not an integration there. Here it comes. There it is. There it comes. They walk in and all of this busyness is in you and all of this self-identification. Now you are letting it go. This can be practiced. We're going to have a quiet time here very soon. Those of you who are practicing extension, remember how beautiful it will work for you if you will have confidence in your own truth. Don't project from you what you think might be true. Come to your own truth and then extend your love from that. Then the response will be automatic. Now I extend to you. Can you feel it? You can feel it. It's very nice. That's a form of communication. There. As soon as we can teach this species to do that, all wars will end, because you will come to know the truth of me and you will realize that I would never harm you. Do you feel that? If I'm totally innocent with you, you will not harm me. It would serve you no purpose to harm me. Why would you harm me? At the worst, you would say, that's a dumby imbecile. We better lock him up. Or you might do that. I don't care what you do. At what point do you finally allow yourself to be seen? At what point do you take down that mask? I say to you that we're all the same and that there's nothing that you could do or say to me that I would not accept totally. Tell you that you're forgiven and say that it never existed. That is what total forgiveness means. It means that no sin is really possible. You stand in judgment of everything. Stop it. This place is a school where you are learning to be God. This is a literal truth. You are practicing being a creator. Do you see that? You are allowed to fail. The reason that you feel is that you have not nurtured enough in identification with energy to recognize who you really are. So in duality, you think you are John Doe, and there's projected from you these things which are corrupt, because you are still corrupt in identification. You are a creator, but you project rather than extend. A thought never leaves its source. There's only one final thought in the universe, and that's God's thought of himself, the extension of you. Nothing can be separate from that one thing. So you make mistakes as you practice to be God. You say, I love you very much, but I don't want anything to do with you. Now you're attacked by the other thing. You may be attacked by what you think you love. And it all caves in on you. And you are killed. And you are slaughtered. And you love. And you share. And you hate. And everything changes. There's no stability. You're just practicing. It's not real. It isn't real. You juiced with windmills. In a vivid dream I had during my awakening, I saw hell for what it really is. Everybody's walking around choking themselves to death, and they never die. And then another person takes somebody and he chokes him. That's hell. Nobody can ever die. And they feel the rage and the need to protect themselves and defend themselves. That's hell, folks. You won't have to do that. Don't participate in it. Don't do it. Each time you don't do it, there will be a response in you, despite yourself, that will bring you to the truth. That's difficult because you think you can run the show, and you can't. Grace comes through supplication and surrender, Christian. No other way. You're actually not in control of it. It is only your acquiescence to it that brings the truth. It is a process of awakening. My awakening was not spiritual, had nothing to do with religion, none, zero, period. I discovered it was spiritual simply because anything I can't conceive of here, you may define as spiritual if you wish. Of course, it's spiritual in that sense. It's also biological. When you come to know it, you know it. Wisdom is only remembering. You already know everything. There's nothing that you can learn on earth. Nothing. Except a period of maturation requiring self-identification so that the self can be extended and expanded. That's why the ego exists in the first place, incidentally. Obviously, the ego is a necessary part of the maturation. But when you remember who you are, you will grow to truth. I know you are very well. I know you very well. Would there be anyone here that I wouldn't know? How absurd. There are only 12 tribes in Israel. There are only 7 major races, a chromatic scale of 12. Everything is a variation of, or a fractured ism of a diffusion of a pure light expressed in an energy fashion. You, contained in your symbiotic relationships, are combinations of energy patterns and colors and sound. I can see that in you. You are very beautiful. Each one is a little different combination, but we all are related. And to some, some is given, and to others, others. But it finally comes only to truth. I know you all very well, as you know me, because we are one. It could not be another way. You practice that in the world through the extension of yourself in truth. And it's a very real thing. And many of you are experiencing now in your daily lives. And that's very nice. We didn't come here to repair the earth because the earth cannot be repaired. When you awaken, you will know that what I say is true. You are beginning to discover. Only through your efforts or through how you feel about yourself can you find the truth outside yourself. That's true. That's a very nice thing to know. And you may bring that about. The transformation process, the awakening process is real. Everything that you ever do as identified on this planet is to establish that pattern of awakening. There's no other reason for you to be here. You be very gentle with that. You have all the power within you, but it's only through a total recognition of the inability of you as you identify yourself to do anything that truth will come to you. So you sit at the end of the table. Why would you be disturbed? What would you defend? Why would you have to defend it? Who would attack you? Nothing. You are invulnerable. You can't die. Those of you who are now feeling that you have done this before, you have done this before. Now you're doing it again. Now you're doing it again. And now you're doing it again. The rent in the fabric of consciousness that created space-time and identified long ago being repaired. We stand at the omega point looking back at this. This has already all happened. Well, that's nice to know. I assure you, you all won. If you're in a quandary about what you're doing here, there is no loss. You can't lose. There's nothing for you to lose to. There's only one consciousness, one power. How could you lose? Earth, air, fire and water. Get some oxygen into you here. Thank you. Come on, breathe on. That's a beautiful line. Remember that the line between sorrow and happiness is really non-existent. The incredible joy that can come to you as you release and come to the truth is incredible. You even love your own depressions. You like everything that's happening to you because you know it's true. If you really come to believe that you're in this process, it doesn't make any difference. You will say thank you to everything. I can tell you about phenomena in the awakening process. It's going to happen despite you. But if you come to know that's true, then everything you do, you accept as part of that process. It is beautiful. It makes absolutely no difference to you than what everybody else thinks or does. You're coming to your own truth, and that's very nice. Do you then become loving and extending yourself and begin to share? Of course. Do you want a big one? I've no alternative but to love you totally. In the process of awakening, I ought to be able to not like somebody. I mean, look at this. The big old ex-Marine. I ought to have a right. Someday I'll tell you the story. You want to see some ego, huh? See, the more power you have in ego, the more difficult it finally is to transcend. Unto whom much is given, much is expected. I assure you that the final awakening is very humiliating. It is totally and incredibly and awesomely degrading. It is the absolute final insult that can be applied to you, and it's much greater than that. It is the incredible, absolute, total realization that you are absolutely nothing. It's awesome and it's fearful and it's beautiful because from that moment on you share in the reality of truth, of living. All must come to that door. For some it's easier than others. The path is well trod. It appears that illumination, or call it whatever you want, the awakening process, is not common. I assure you it's extremely common in the universe. It's the process of going from duality to unity, as identified in duality on Earth at this stage. It seems like, oh boy, there's an avatar who's waking up and he's coming to Earth. It isn't phenomenal. I know everything there is to know in the whole universe. I assure you. Can I express that to you? So do you. I don't require any worship. People look at me and say like, oh, you light up. Look at this. You must be God. Not any more than you are. There are elements in all of us of worship, but in my case, I'm a server. And actually, I worship you. That's very difficult for you to get, but I assure you I do. I think you are absolutely divine and perfect. Of course I do. What else would I think? How may I serve you? It seems too simple, and it seems like there's more to it, but there isn't. And we share in that glory. It's finally happening to you. And as it happens, you keep standing back and you say, boy, this can be happening to me. Well, it is. I'm not entitled to this. Yes, you are. You are entitled to it. You feel guilty about it, but you're entitled to anything. You're entitled to come to know the truth. If you're not entitled to it, no one in the universe is. Nothing outside of you can be entitled. Just you. Your dealings are with this reality here. If it were not so, I would not tell you that it is. You cannot lose. There's no loss. Each time that you're here and are beset with the chaos, turn and look at death, then turn back to the light and say, no, I pursue the light. I will not pursue the death of earth. I will pursue the truth of the universe. Then it will come about in you and you will become whole and remember me. You cannot lose. We await your coming with great expectation. Therefore be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. We will have a little quiet time. Nobody gets to talk except me. I get to say anything I want. Be gentle. Listen. It's the pearl worth any price. It is what you've always been seeking. Right here. It's right here. Move closer and listen. Tchaikovsky's Symphony 6, the Pathétique. The universe is still with you for a moment, waiting, searching for truth. The ancient dream begins again. Rhythm for all eternity in the hearts of heaven. A search for truth that cannot fail. Together as brothers we find it. I will show it. I will show you where it is. Come on home, everyone. Seek ye first the kingdom. Therefore be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Unto you all power is given. Greater things will you do than I have done. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would not have told you so. You have nothing to do but give up. It requires no action or thought of any kind. It is that simple. Is it that simple? Take your place. Be of good cheer. What has been given you? The knowledge that you are mind. In mind, and purely mind, sinless forever, wholly unafraid, because you were created out of love. Nor have you left your source, remaining as you were created. This was given you as knowledge which you cannot lose. It was given as well to every living thing, for by that knowledge only does it live.